Hey vinyl community, it's Mark here again from Sound Matters, covering all things vinyl of course. Now today is a lovely little unboxing video of a VMP delivery I've received. VMP being Vinyl Me Please, of course, the record subscription service, and I received the classics issues and also the essentials package. So they're both in this package here, and I always really look forward to it because I get to discover new music. So without further ado, let's get straight into it and we'll discover it together. Lost Sounds Found. We're unboxing the shipping packet here, of course, which contains both the classic and the essentials records. Two records to dig into. We've got Justice, I think that's how it's pronounced because they're a French electronic duo. On the right here, this is the Essentials release for June, and then we've got Johnnie Walker here for the Classics release, which is Wanted One Soul Singer. Looking forward to both of these records. They sound very nice, very musical albums, albeit from completely different genres, but you've got to keep an open mind when you subscribe to record subscription services of any kind, really. You'll notice straight away there's a couple of bonuses. We've got this badge here that says Listen to More Soul. Like that, it's a nice touch. And then you've got these user created or these subscriber created stickers that come with every single VMP release. Again, that's a nice touch and it creates a bit of community around the subscription service. But we're going to dig straight into Justice first. We'll unwrap it and talk all about it. So with Justice Cross, when we look at the hype sticker here, we can see that it's the 15th anniversary edition of their debut album, and the lacquers were cut at 45 RPM by Graham Durham at The Exchange. So 45 RPM, of course, superb sonic aspects to that, benefits, of course, but this has been done by a great mastering engineer at a good mastering house, so that is very promising. It's also pressed onto some really beautiful looking gold nugget vinyl. Now, I've seen this effect before in a previous VMP release, on the Usher release from a few months back, and it's a really stunning effect, so I think you'll look forward to seeing that on the camera in just a minute. Of course, with all Essentials releases as well, you get a really detailed liner notes full-on booklet, and you get the art print as well, so there's lots to dig into, and they're always really nice premium feeling reissues. So we'll look forward to getting into that, and we'll unwrap it and we'll take a look particularly at that gold nugget vinyl, which I think you're really going to enjoy. So first thing we can see is the art print, which is not a frameable one this time. A lot of them are sort of on frameable card, but this is a really cool shot, I think. These modular synths, obviously from one of their gigs here, and you've got the great big Marshall STAX in the background. It's quite an iconic looking little picture here. I like that. It's a nice touch. So let's get straight into the album though. So I'll put that aside somewhere safe so I can store it, and perhaps even put it on a wall somewhere. It's a really cool looking, sort of real rock and roll looking image, really. But it's a really nice glossy finish to the whole thing, and you always get with VMP releases, the boards that they're produced with are always really premium thick board, much stronger, much thicker, more durable, more premium feeling than any other subscription service that I've ever experienced. So I always enjoy that. So inside the jacket, of course, we've got our liner notes booklet straight away, and these are always really nice to sit down and read when you have that first listen of the album. You can get the backstory of what you're listening to and learn a little bit more about it as you experience the music for the first time. It's always a really nice experience, just adds to the premium feel of the release, of course. And now we've got our two records. We've got one LP here and we've got the other LP here as well. I'm dying to have a look at that gold nugget vinyl, so let's just pull that out, shall we? So it's a little bit more orangey in colour than the Usher version of it was, but you can see straight away, hopefully that's coming over on the camera, but there's a really lovely gold nugget kind of ripply effect, particularly in the kind of run out groove area. Really, you get that kind of feeling of it looking a little bit almost like fool's gold, if you've ever seen that kind of thing. It has that kind of textured effect and look about it. Hopefully the light's kind of catching that in a way that you can really appreciate the kind of colour and the vibe of it. But I think that's a really beautiful looking disc. I mean, look at that, just look at that. Look at it. I mean, they vary a lot as well, and we'll look at the other one because they often have varying degrees of ripple, and each one, your copy is going to be completely different and unique. Where's where's the opening for this one? I've lost it. Your one's going to be completely unique and different to the next person. So I think that really just kind of adds to the experience of vinyl, of course, you know, the fact that your copy is your copy and that is yours alone, and they all vary ever so slightly in that regard. There you go, you can see the variation there, and again, that's really beautiful looking disc, and I shall look forward to seeing what that looks like when it's spinning on my deck. So the album jacket is of course a gatefold, nice thick gatefold here, and the album was released in 2007. It's an electronica duo from France, and they fuse together a lot of different styles. There's a lot of heavy use of distortion and kind of glitchy electronica stuff, but they fuse it with a lot of funk, disco, and even a healthy dose of rock in there as well. So there's a real fusion of styles that I'm looking forward to hearing. Sounds really promising. But let's go straight into the second record now, of course, and let's dig into the Classics release. So Johnnie Taylor wanted one soul singer. This is an album from 1967, and from what I've heard so far, he just has a superb soul voice, and I can't wait to get it on the deck and give it the attention that it deserves. But the cool thing about VMP Classics is that they're usually cut from the analog master tapes. These are AAA releases, and these are the original mono tapes cut by Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound, who certainly knows what he's doing. And it's also pressed onto 180 gram black vinyl. Now, there's a lot of debate, of course, around vinyl colour, but widely it's agreed that black vinyl is the safest bet from an audiophile perspective. Of course, the final thing that you get as well is the little booklet that is included in VMP Classics releases. They're not as big or as detailed or as kind of pretty, if you like, as the Essentials releases, but they still give you that lovely context behind the album that you're about to spin. But let's get this unwrapped, and without further ado, we'll dig in. So just like our Essentials release, we of course got that premium VMP board that it's all printed onto, and I can't stress this enough, and I know that you're not going to get this on the camera or anything, but they really do make a difference in terms of how substantial it feels to hold and how premium it feels as a release. And, you know, they don't pay me to say this or anything, I just really enjoy the fact that it feels more substantial than a lot of other releases that I get from other subscription services or just other labels in general, just standard releases. Now, we can see this is on the legendary STAX label, and this was Johnnie Walker's debut to the STAX label in general. But let's pull the record out and we'll take a look at that. Got our booklet, of course. Now, these are always much more dialed back than the Essential stuff. They're less fancy, but they give you more than enough information to delve into when you spin the record on your deck. But let's pull the record straight out of the sleeve, which I can see is a poly-lined sleeve, which is good for the longevity of the record and protecting it, particularly in transit as well. It's great for protecting the record, good for anti-static purposes, and I prefer to receive an album in a polyethylene sleeve. Personally, I'm always disappointed when people ship records in those standard paper sleeves. But let's just take a look at the label just for the camera here. We've got that lovely STAX label, and it's on nice, weighty 180 gram vinyl. Now, one thing I have noticed, sadly, that has happened in transit here is there's a little bit of a split seam in this sleeve, which has enabled the record with some rough handling in transit. It's not really VMP's fault, but this has obviously happened from slightly rough handling in transit that's kind of enabled the record to rear its ugly head through the side where it shouldn't. Now, it should be said that VMP, if this does bother you, this kind of thing, then you can easily get a swap. They will always swap a record from my experience, but this is just a standard paper polyethylene lined sleeve, and I'm just going to replace that myself. It's no big deal. It doesn't seem like the record's been damaged in transit, and if anything, the fact that it was a poly lined sleeve probably helped to protect it from any manhandling from the shipping process. It's a bit of a thorn in the side of record collectors, just the way that couriers and everything handle a lot of things like records. They don't often get the kind of gentle care and attention that they need, and they're not often aware that there's records in there. But, you know, it's just kind of the nature of the beast of being a record collector that occasionally these kind of things happen. So no big deal. I'm going to replace that sleeve anyway, and we move on onwards and upwards. It is worth saying, though, that VMP will replace records if you're unhappy in any way, shape or form with the release. They'll always send you another one, in my experience. So if that does bother you, you could always get in contact with VMP and have them send you a replacement. But really, this is just a standard paper sleeve. I'm going to replace that myself. So just to wrap things up then, I am very happy with both records this month. The sound quality is superb, and both records were nice and flat without any manufacturing defects whatsoever. For the Justice release, I felt that there was a certain Daft Punk kind of vibe about the album, but it had a much rawer aesthetic. As the liner notes kind of allude to, they have a very unique ability to harness distortion in a beautiful and musical way. You know, who knew the apparent sound of machines falling apart and kind of exploding could sound so appealing? That gold nugget vinyl as well, it's a beauty to behold, and I'm a real sucker for coloured vinyl. As for Johnnie Taylor, well, I absolutely love this record, and it's undoubtedly more up my alley than Justice as a piece of music. Now, I've experienced VMP for over a year now, and while the Essential releases are unquestionably eclectic and the best option for exploring a wide range of contemporary music styles, I've more consistently enjoyed the musicality of the Classics range. As a music fan whose musical home is undoubtedly rock-based, VMP Classics has opened my mind to a world of soul, jazz and blues in a way that I can't fail to appreciate as a musician myself. With such a wonderful soul voice, Taylor's album will play a part in our relaxed Sunday evening routines in my household for many years to come, and as the included badge with this release suggests, I will indeed be listening to more soul. Thank you ever so much for watching. That basically concludes today's video, but you know, this is always a journey that we take together. I think it's really nice. Thank you ever so much for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoy discovering new music together as a vinyl community. That's what it's all about. So let us know if you've used the Vinyl With Me Please, the VMP subscription service before. Do you like it? What do you think of it? You know, granted, they're not the cheapest record subscription service out there, but I really do vouch for the quality of the stuff they do. But let us know your thoughts and your experience down in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Thank you ever so much again for watching, and if you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing, and we'll see you in that next video. Keep spinning.